I would like to be talking about today. I would like to share my experience from the project. So first, I would like to describe you how I actually see the deployment automation and why customers care about the deployment automation. And then I will give you a little bit best practices on the deployment automation projects I was working on. So let's start. So about the why deployment automation, let me ask you, how many of you in your companies do actually use some kind of deployment automation? Wow, almost everybody. This is awesome. So let's see if you will have the same experience as I have. So last 2 years, clients have been talking a lot about DevOps and asking me, Jan, can you help us with DevOps? Can you tell us what it is? Can you tell us, can we buy it? Is it some tool? Is it some practice? And I always, like to show them this kind of picture that, DevOps, it doesn't mean, one single practice or one single tool, but it's just, it's a strategy to do a lot of stuff. And you need to decide what actually you want to do. If you want to do automation, that's part of a DevOps. If you want to change how your teams behave, how they interact, that's a part of a DevOps too. But so DevOps, I see it as a new IT strategy, new exciting IT strategy. But it's not just one thing, and it can be combined of many things. So what I mostly do, I mostly do deployment automation, and I see it as just one small part of of DevOps of continuous delivery. And so the clients I usually talk to, they are coming from the agile development teams, and most of them they started with adopting agile a couple years ago, and they are they're doing agile. The development teams are producing a lot of new items, but then they are stuck on the next steps. So we have a fast development, but we have a slow deployment, we have a slow testing, and so on. So for most of the clients I talk to, building the continuous delivery, it's something like a next step for agile projects that they've been doing. So why clients are interested in building these deployment automation platforms? So when I discuss with clients what they want to do, I ask them why you want to do it, why it matters to you, and I also ask them how long it takes you to code something and to get it live to the production systems. And this can be quite a long time. Last year we had a workshop with Telefonica in Prague, and we were talking to some C-level people, and they told us that it takes quite a long time if they develop a new cell phone tariff. Just the business people develop a new cell phone tariff. They give the requirements to development, and then to get it to production. Anybody guess how long it takes or how long it took Telefonica in Prague, in Czech, to actually to implement the new cell phone tariffs? Any guesses? In months? 2, 3, 6? Oh, 18. Hey, this guy got it. 18. So it took them actually 18 months from the single idea, from some business guy, calculating the cell phone tariffs, to implement it live to production systems. But today, in today's environment, 18 months, that's how do you know what's going to happen in 18 months? So this is, it's quite a long time. So most of the companies today, they like what they see in terms of DevOps, and what they see in terms of deployment automation is actually to speed up the time, that they can go faster, they can implement new innovations faster for the customers. So this is the first, what I have here, the first option, the first use case, to have a faster feedback loop. So if you can deploy your application faster in your test environments, development environments, so you will see much faster if it's working or not. So if it doesn't work, you can throw it away, you can improve it, and then you can deploy it again. So this this is a great benefit and a huge improvement. For some clients, it's important to see how many people they have doing the manual stuff, doing manual deployments. And a lot of clients I talk to, that they have some departments is just responsible for deploying applications. So they have a couple people, they receive some ticket on some change management system, and then they go to some file system, they grab some files, and then they upload it to some, to their application service, database service, and so on. And they just do it manually, all the time. And they can, do, a couple of these deployments per day. So by, doing this automatically, you can, these guys can actually do something more useful, like, read their emails or check the Facebook status. And the last point is to simplify. So by deployment automation, you can also, simplify. So you can just have, I like to talk about the one button deployments. So you just push the button and it will be deployed automatically in the background. Because for a lot of these operations people I see in these big companies, they don't understand all the systems. So they just go through the list of steps, and sometimes they don't understand the step fully. So they say, okay, so maybe I'm supposed to do this. Okay, let's try, and it will fail. So if you automate something, you're also describing the process, how this works. So these are actually why customers are interested in building the deployment automation platforms. And now let's talk a little bit about how you do it. So when I talk about deployment automation, it's a lot of people are confused or asking me, so what actually do you want to automate? Because there is many layers, and it also depends on your environment. So on this picture behind me, I have actually some 3 basic environments. Here on the left side, it's like the typical on-premise environment that most companies have today, that you have all your applications, all your servers, everything in your place. Some small companies are now renting some cloud environments, some infrastructure, and so on. And even some companies today are using software as a service. So it's and depends on what environment do you use. Then you can automate a lot of things. You can automate the server provisioning. You can automate the bare metal provisioning. You can automate the installation of the middleware platforms like application service databases. But what I do mostly, I do the application deployments. So all the projects I was working on last 12 months, I was working on the projects deploying the top 2 layers, deploying the applications layer and providing the data for these applications. And of course, if you want to automate some of these layers, you need to look, how many times actually I need to, build the new servers. Do I need it daily? If I need it daily to build the new servers, it makes sense to automate it. If I just need a new server once in 6 months, it doesn't make probably sense, to automate it. But for applications, that's the same thing. If you are doing 1 release per year, the automation will not, save you much money or will not help you. But if you are doing, releases once per week, then, you need to have some kind of automation because just you will, end up doing all of this stuff manually every week. It will take you a lot of time. So from my experience, I will be now talking about the application deployments. But, you can also, there is, other layers and other things you can automate, but I just want to show you the perspective. So most of the projects I was working on last 12 months were the application deployments, and I was helping clients to build some development, some continuous delivery pipeline. And this is like the typical, on this picture, in this schema, it's like a typical environment that I see that a lot of customers are using. So on these blue boxes on the top, that's a typical software development lifecycle, how the software is developed. And most of the customers, they use some, everybody's using some ticketing system or some change management system. So on this change management system, they would put some tickets, what need to be changed, what need to be deployed, and so on. Then, they have some version control system, usually some Git, Subversion, or some system like this. So they will be using this for storing the code that you are developing. So that's also, you can connect your change management system like Jira or RTC to your version control system. So from this version control system, usually you have a connection to some build engine automation or continuous integration system. So this is most often Jenkins today. So Jenkins can take a look at your version control system, get all the files and build it. And now it depends where you want to store the build results. You can store it back in your version control system, or you can have some repository. So what I prefer is for your build results to have a repository. So, usually I see customers using some Maven repositories like Nexus, Archiva, Artifactory, and so on. So they store these build results. And the last point, this is what I was doing mostly, is actually having the deployment automation engine. This is like, there is a lot of systems you can use because I'm from IBM, so I work with IBM Urban Code system. And we use this system to actually deploy automatically to various environments. So most of the projects, what I do, I try to connect all these pieces together. So you have an automated flow that you create a ticket, you put something in your SVN, then you build it, then it sets in a repository. From a repository, it can be downloaded automatically by your deployment automation system, and then it's distributed to your environments. So you can, if you create this pipeline, you can automate all of this. So if a developer can do a change, it can, in a matter of minutes, it can appear on your development or testing systems, and you will have it recorded in your change management system, and you can have also some tests. So you can also automate if the build is correct and so on. The project I was working on with deployment automation, what we usually do, we connect all of these boxes together, and then we start with the development environments. So we look, how you actually deploy to your development environments. So it depends, what kind of systems do you have. If you have some, WebLogic, WebSphere, JBosses, some middleware platforms like this, what kind of databases you have. And then we like to, create the process that will just take your build result and automatically dump it to your development environment. Then, if you're happy with it, you can, promote it to your test environment and so on. So the good thing about the deployment automation is once you have the automation working for your development environment, then you can just use the same process and, and use the same process for your test environment. And then, if it's working on a test, then you can, just use it for stage or production environments. So it means that you can, really nicely, reduce your deployment processes. This is, pretty much the environments that I work with, and that, everybody has nowadays something like this. How many of you have something similar environment? Okay, just half of you. Okay, yeah. This is becoming pretty standard, but sometimes the deployment automation can get really tricky, especially if you have some more complex systems. So what I would now like to talk to you about the 5 biggest challenges what I see when you implementing this strategy that I had in the previous slide. Last 12 months I work in a lot of projects. I don't know exactly, it was maybe 15, 20, I don't know, actually implementing this. So now I would like to tell you, what were the biggest obstacles. So not surprisingly, the first one is, the processes in organizations. Because usually the clients I work with are, some large banks or large telco companies. And if you want to, implement some continuous delivery, whatever, it's you're hitting a lot of walls and a lot of blocks from mostly from the operation guys or from the management, because these guys, they've been doing it last 10 years, 15, 20 years, some way, and now you're going to change it. And these guys, they are not used to it. Like the large bank I talked to in Prague, they have a release cycle 12 months. So they know that they will be releasing once per year, and they have in January everything is just doing analysis, they're doing a waterfall. In March they start testing, they start coding, in June they start testing and so on. So for these guys, to change it, to do some, to speed it up, to break it into small chunks and to, release faster, it's just, a lot of changing of the process and about how you actually, how you see it, how you work in your organization. So I tried both approaches to work with the guys who are, doing developments and deployments and push it up from them, or we try to, talk to management and push it down. So, but it's, none of these ways are the good ways. The best is, if you talk to the guys who are actually practitioners who are, building the stuff, and then if you talk to guys on the top, and somehow it meets, so all the parties are interested, and so because you need to have this strategy of automation aligned somehow with the company strategy. So that's the first, the most common obstacle that I see, with building these systems. So they are really, really useful in organizations. You can do some small automations. It can, help somebody, but if you want to, talk about, implementing some DevOps strategy, you need to, do it as a company. The second most common problem is actually building automation for some really complex systems. And sometimes I go to clients and they tell me, Jan, automation is awesome, and can you automate all our 600 applications on these 5,000 servers? And I look at it, and like half of these environments, they haven't updated it for the last 2 years. So what's the point of building the automation for something that you don't really use? So you need to look at your development process. How fast are you actually developing these applications? And if you're developing them really fast, if you have some agile teams, it makes sense to do the automation. If you are using some mainframe systems that you update once a year, the automation doesn't matter. So look at your systems and look if you need to speed it up or not, and also look how complex it would be to build the automation. Because for some systems it's really easy to build the automation, but if you have some complex applications that are connected with 70 different systems in many different environments, then we can spend a lot of time to actually building the automation and to make it all work. And then you need to decide, is it really worth it? Does it make sense to build the automation? So it's your money and your time, but you need to be careful about it. One more thing is if you're doing this, don't try to do everything at once. Build some small pilot, see if it works for you, see if you're happy with it, and then go from that. Go from the small pilot and extend it. Don't try to automate all the application at the same time. And so the next common problem that I see, and that sometimes I'm doing some automation projects, and I'm supposed to get information from some guy in the company. I call him Guru, and he is the only guy that knows some system. And if I want to talk to him and get information from him, this guy feels that I'm like stealing the information, and then he will be fired and he will not be needed in the job anymore. So I was working in Russia in some project in Moscow, and this guy just didn't want to tell me anything about the system, and he wanted me to figure out how the system works and do everything. And this it doesn't work this way. If you are doing automation, you need to understand the systems, and you need the help of these guys. So I try to be nice to this guy. I try to go for lunch with him, and I try to see if I can if I take his baby away, if I can give him something else that he can play with. So this is a pretty common problem as well. The next problem is that I'm working with this small bank in Prague, and they are really excited about automation, but they don't have a time to do it. So they don't have a time to save time. So they always telling me, yeah, can we start next week? Oh, can we start next week? Because now we are busy with doing the releases, and it takes so long, so we don't have a time to automate it. So it's all about your priorities, about actually if you want to, you need to, stop doing what you're doing, and you need to change it somehow. Or at least for some projects, you cannot just, keep doing the same things. So the mental process, you need to somehow change it. You need to define your priorities, and again, you need to, look at your processes and have some reasonable scope. So this is, if you are too busy, losing your time and redoing the stuff again, you will never find the time to, to build some automation systems. So the last problem I see, and it's pretty, this is more technical problem, is, defining the rollbacks. Defining, if you're defining automation, first you're defining if everything works okay, the applications will be deployed in your environments, and you will have no problems. But imagine that something, during the deployment process, something will break. There will be some failure, and you will need to go back. You will need to roll back your application, you will need to roll back your databases, and so on. And this is, pretty difficult, because usually you don't know what is the current state of the deployment process. So you need to be very careful about how you are building the deployment processes. You need to understand what is happening, and you need to understand if this step breaks, if this step fails, how will you go back? So for each step of your deployment process, you need to think, how will you go back? And this, if you are deploying some large applications, this can be really, big problem. And sometimes, I don't know how to do this stuff. So I talk to clients and I ask them, because they always want to see rollbacks. They always want to see, if we deploy, I always want to see how we undeploy. And I ask them, okay, but do you have any rollback processes implemented right now? And they tell me, we don't have any, but can some tool magically do the undeployment for us? And I said, well, the tool like this, doesn't exist, or I don't know about it. So you need to first come up with your rollback strategy, with how you do this stuff, and then we can help you to automate it the same way like you automate your deployment process, the same way you automate your rollback process. So these are the 5 practices, the best practices I found out with doing the deployment automation projects. And there is one more thing I wanted to mention, and this is typical for all the environments I work with. Everybody thinks that they are unique. When I talk to clients, they always tell me, I tell them how I was doing it somewhere else, and then they tell me, yeah, but we have specific systems, and we have these applications and this middleware and these databases like nobody else has. So can we automate it? And they always think that they have something special, but honestly, it's pretty much all the same. There's just little variety. So that's good thing is the systems today, it's becoming really similar. And so if you can if you have the knowledge and if you know how to automate it in one environment, it's a pretty good chance that you will be able to take this knowledge and do the same thing somewhere else. So I'm always telling clients, you are not that unique as you think you are, because the systems today have some common standards, and so there is pretty much everything that you can automate today. This is the last advice. Okay, so with this, I would like to conclude my presentation. We have like 5 minutes, so I don't know if you have any questions about the deployment automation projects, or if you want to ask something.
Do you have questions regarding the approach IBM is doing that?
Okay, no question. Okay, so thank you for your attention. If you want to ask me, I will be here, all day today. So thank you and enjoy your day today.
Okay, thank you so much.